Assalamu alaikum. You're watching PTV News and I'm Faisal Rahman from our Islamabad Center. Today we'll be talking about something very important. As you all know, that during the last week or so we have been witnessing and we've been hearing a lot of interesting news stories. When it comes to war journalism or when you talk about conflict journalism, things are very different. The way the Indian media, which we observed recently, just went out of the proportion, and they were creating war hysteria. And it seemed at one stage that there's going to be a war between the two countries, and most likely it could end up into anything, just because of the, I would say, immaturity of the media. Maybe some of our channels did not play according to the merits of the game, but still managed to keep it to a certain level. Now, it is believed that when we talk about war, basically, as a wise man once said, that war is a continuation of policies. Just that the optics are different and just the means are different. Now, this is something very important, how to report and what not to do, I guess, is really important. How to report the facts, what not to show, what to show, and sort of, how to engage yourself as a professional into that particular profession, and how to report for television, or for that matter, for other. Now, social media is gaining strength by every passing day, and now it has become a very, very powerful tool. What we have witnessed earlier in the Arab Spring was just because of the social media. And this is something which is all over, instant, and people get to see what is happening all around the world. But it really depends on the reporter, how he's reporting it, what he's showing, what he or she is not showing. So there are always two different angles and different dimensions to it. Now, we have with us in Pakistan recently visiting two individuals from Norway who are experts in conflict reporting, in war reporting, and they were here to attend this very interesting international conference on media and conflict, which was held on the 26th and on the 27th of February in Islamabad in the Bahria University. Let me introduce you to these two individuals. On my right is Mr. Rune Ottesen. He is the professor in journalism based in Norway. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out your time and being a part of our show, sir. And I'm sure we're going to learn a lot from you today. And on my left is Elizabeth Eide. She's also a professor of journalism and also hails from Norway. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here. Now, sir, if I may ask you that we normally used to hear about a lot of beats, economics, finance, defense, you name it. But war correspondence, especially after this Iraq invasion, I would say, things were different. And we heard about embedded journalism, and obviously there was a different perspective. Then I still remember Christiana Manpour. She was covering the war in Serbia, and she was brilliant. But again, we need to learn a lot more than that. Now, sir, recently, especially when you talk about the first world countries, you talk about the top channels like BBC or CNN or Deutsche Welle for that matter, or Al Jazeera, you will see very dignified, very decent, very to the point reporting. But yes, you can't eliminate the element of bias there. So in order to have a proper reporting, sir, by book reporting, what do you think what one needs to do and what one needs to learn also?
Well, we teach our students the principle of war and peace journalism based on Johan Galton's model, which warns the war journalism is often repeating what government says, and they just reduce the conflict to just two parties, who is going to win, very agitative, and then reducing the possibilities to also have non-violent issues, peace suggestion on the agenda. So we learn our students, when they become reporters, to learn about the conflict, to have an independent distance from the government, make up their mind, also introduce other issues than the obvious propaganda. You mentioned the Iraq war in 2003. The American media were responsible for selling this war on false premises. There was no weapons of mass destruction. These can be avoided if the journalists educate themselves, and if their media outlets let them be a bit independent. It's very serious matter if the journalists fall into the propaganda trap. So they need also to have in mind the civilian people, the third parties, the long historical trends behind the conflicts, such issues.
Every aspect of it.
Yes, and that can educate the public also, and make the public in a position to make up their own minds, just not repeating what the government says via the journalists. So we need to have a better discourse, especially when your own country is in a war or conflict. Then the government and the military, they expect the journalists to be loyal because the national interests are at stake.
Loyal and rational also at the same time.
And it's really difficult to keep an independent mind in such a situation. It's almost impossible. But that's the challenge.
Obviously, you will have a tilt towards one side. I mean, if you're talking about your own country,
yes,
you will have it. It's natural.
Yeah, of course. But what if your country is wrong? I can give you an example from my own country. Norway took part in the bombing of Libya in 2011. The media went along. In retrospect,
वेलफेयर डिपार्टमेंट जो पंजाब का है उसके साथ एक लाइजन क्रिएट करें और अपनी जो सदका खैरात है वो इधर डाइवर्ट करें, बजाय इसके कि आप ऐसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में डाल दें जिनका आपको पता ही नहीं है कि उनका सदका खैरात किधर जाना है, क्या नहीं जाना। इसलिए जो सदका खैरात है वो उसके लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है कि वो सेफ्टी भी हो उसमें। हमने देखा है और हमने सफ़र भी किया है, चाहे कराची में हमने देखा कि किस तरह से सदका खैरात के नाम के ऊपर एक पूरा टेररिज्म का नेटवर्क पल रहा था अल्ताफ हुसैन के अंडर। इस तरह और भी कई ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस का हमने देखा है कि सदका खैरात के नाम के ऊपर एक पूरा नेटवर्क चल रहे हैं। इसलिए ज़रूरी है कि आप हुकूमत के ऊपर ट्रस्ट करें और अपने जो सदका खैरात है उसको डाइवर्ट करें, हुकूमत के साथ इन लाइन रखें। और मुझे बड़ी खुशी है कि आज जिस तरह से अजमल चीमा साहब की वजारत के अंदर इन तमाम दोस्तों ने, करमचौधरी साहब ने, भट्टी साहब ने, इन लोगों ने जिस तरीके से ये काम को आगे बढ़ाया है। और आज प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब ने, आपको मालूम है, इस ज़मन में एक इजलास की भी सदारत की है यहाँ पे, और उनका भी ये कोशिश है कि इसको हम एक स्ट्रीमलाइन कर सकें। जहाँ तक इस वक्त ओवरऑल सिचुएशन का ताल्लुक है, मुझे बड़ी खुशी है कि आज मुझे एहसान मानी साहब ने, चेयरमैन पीसीबी ने बताया है कि आईसीसी ने जो कल इंडियन क्रिकेट टीम का मामला था कि वो जो कैप्स पहन के उन्होंने मैच खेला, उसको आईसीसी से साथ उठाने का फैसला किया है। ये बड़ी इसलिए अहम है कि देखिए, इस तरह तो फिर हर मुल्क अगर खेल के मैदान को सियासत के लिए इस्तेमाल करेगा तो फिर खेलें सियासत की एक नज़र हो जाएंगी। क्या हम जो कश्मीर में इस वक्त हिंदुस्तान कर रहा है, क्या हमारी क्रिकेट टीम जो है उसको उजागर करने में दिलचस्पी नहीं रखती, या हमारा दिल नहीं कर रहा कि हम उसके जुल्म के ऊपर जो है वो करें? लेकिन हम एक फ़र्क रखना चाहते हैं कि ये मामलात के अलहदा फोरम्स हैं, खेल का फोरम अलहदा है। अगर आप फिल्मों को भी, हमने हालिया बहरान में हमने देखा है कि चाहे कल्चर हो, चाहे आपकी फिल्म हो, चाहे आपका खेल हो, हर सोसाइटी के तबके को नरेंद्र मोदी साहब ने इस जंग में झोंक दिया। जब आप ऐसे करते हैं, इससे मुल्कों का जो नैरेटिव है, मुल्कों का बयानिया, अवाम जो है वो भटक जाती है। हिंदुस्तान के अवाम को भी कुछ वक्त लगा ये समझने में कि नरेंद्र मोदी साहब उनके साथ कर क्या रहे। एक दिसंबर से हम दुनिया को आगाह कर रहे थे कि हिंदुस्तान के इंतखाबात हैं, उससे पहले नरेंद्र मोदी की हुकूमत कोई बड़ा यहाँ पे कदम उठाएगी जिससे कि वो अपने इलेक्शन जीतने के लिए इस्तेमाल करना चाहता है। दिसंबर से हमने ये जो परमानेंट 5 हैं उनके एम्बेसडर्स को हमारे फॉरेन मिनिस्टर साहब ने, फॉरेन ऑफिस ने बुलाया और उनको पूरी ब्रीफिंग दी हमने कि ये हिंदुस्तान की तरफ से हमें इस तरह के इंडिकेशंस आ रहे हैं। उसके बाद हमने देखा कि पुलवामा के बाद मिनट नहीं लगे, आपने सोचा भी नहीं, समझा भी नहीं कि इसको जो है वो, और एक फेक वीडियो जो है जिसकी आवाज़ साफ नजर आ रही है, जिसके लिए किसी को बड़े एनालिसिस की भी जरूरत नहीं है, आप सामने देखें कि उसके ऊपर एक फेक वीडियो की बुनियाद के ऊपर पाकिस्तान के ऊपर इल्जामात धरे गए, पाकिस्तान की ज़मीन इस्तेमाल होने के इल्जामात धरे गए, और फिर वो सारे इल्जामात آپ کی कार्रवाइयों समेत आपके मुंह के ऊपर आए। आज पाकिस्तान जो है उसका जो अमन का नैरेटिव है, हमारा जो पीस का नैरेटिव है, उसको पूरी दुनिया ने उसको अप्रिशिएट किया है, चाहे वो मगरबी ममालिक हों, चाहे मुस्लिम ममालिक हों, चाहे तमाम दुनिया के दीगर ममालिक हों। उन्होंने पाकिस्तान का जो बयानिया है उसको अप्रिशिएट किया है, पाकिस्तान के बयानिए को जो है वो मंजूरी मिली है, और ये हमारी हुकूमत की, पाकिस्तान की सियासी जमातों की, पाकिस्तान की पार्लिमान की, पाकिस्तान की कौम की फतह है, मैं ये समझता हूँ। इंशाल्लाह आज जो भारत के सफ़ीर हैं वो भी पाकिस्तान वापस आ गए हैं, और हमारे सफ़ीर दिल्ली चले गए हैं। जो एयरपोर्ट्स हैं वो तकरीबन मुकम्मल तौर के ऊपर खुल चुके हैं। मामला जो है वो उस तरह का अब शिद्दत जिस तरह थी उस तरह नहीं रही है। अल्लाह का शुक्र है कि हम दोबारा अमन की तरफ आ रहे हैं, लेकिन ये एक बात जाहिर है कि आप सिर्फ पॉलिटिशियंस जब इलेक्शन जीतने के लिए इस तरह का लाखों करोड़ों लोगों की जिंदगियों को अगर दाव पे लगा दे तो जाहिर है कि उससे फिर मालूम होता है कि उनका क्या मामला है, क्या नहीं है। और इसी तरीके से ये जिस तरह से मैं शुरू में बात कर रहा था कि क्रिकेट को स्पोर्ट्स से दूर रखे, और आईसीसी को फौरी तौर के ऊपर हिंदुस्तान की क्रिकेट टीम को बैन करना चाहिए अगले मैचेस में। अगर वो, मैं समझता हूँ कि बैन नहीं करते, यहाँ पे फलस्तीनी कॉज के लिए, गजा के मुसलमानों के लिए एक साउथ अफ्रीकन क्रिकेटर जो थे मुबीन, उन्होंने सिर्फ बैंड पहना था और उसके ऊपर सिर्फ गजा लिखा हुआ था, मुस्लिम गजा, उनको मैच के लिए आपने सस्पेंड कर दिया था। हिंदुस्तान को अगर आप सस्पेंड नहीं करते तो इसका मतलब ये होगा कि आप अपने कवानीन की अमलदारी आपकी बराबर नहीं है। तो बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हिंदुस्तान की क्रिकेट टीम को ये मालूम होना चाहिए कि वो बैनुल-अक़वामी कवानीन से बालातर नहीं है। इससे पहले रेसलिंग फेडरेशन जो दुनिया की है वो हिंदुस्तान को बैन कर चुकी है, ओलंपिक्स एसोसिएशन ने अपने एतराज़ात उठाए हुए हैं। तो हिंदुस्तान उल्टा ये जो उन्होंने एक्शन लिए हैं इसके नतीजे में हिंदुस्तान अकेला हुआ है, और तमाम जो स्पोर्ट्स बॉडीज़ हैं उन्होंने एक्शन लिया है। इसलिए मैं ज़रूरी समझता हूँ कि क्रिकेट में भी जो है वो एक्शन जो है वो होना चाहिए, और इंशाअल्लाह ताला मेरा ख्याल होगा। देखिए, बेसिकली बात यह है, प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब ने बिल्कुल वाज़ेह तौर के ऊपर ये बात की थी, और उन्होंने ये कहा था कि नवाज शरीफ साहब को बिल्कुल इलाज की जो भी बेहतरीन सहूलत है वो उनको मिलनी चाहिए। उसके बाद पंजाब गवर्नमेंट से बात हुई है, पंजाब गवर्नमेंट ने आपके सामने उनको हर मुमकिन सहूलत ऑफर की है, बट लगता मुझे यूँ है मुस्लिम लीग नून के अंदर अब लोग, नवाज शरीफ साहब पता नहीं सियासत उसके ऊपर करना चाह रहे हैं या नहीं करना चाह रहे हैं, लेकिन नून लीग के अंदर अब एक तबका जरूर है जो नवाज शरीफ साहब की सेहत के ऊपर सियासत करना चाह रहा है, और उसको फायदा मिलता है, वो पॉलिटिकल लेवरेज लेना चाह रहा है। मेरा ये ख्याल है कि किसी की भी जो बीमारी है उसको सियासत के लिए इस्तेमाल नहीं करना चाहिए, चाहे वो आपका साथ हो चाहे आपके मुखालिफ हो। कई दफ़ा अनफॉर्चुनेटली यहाँ पे ये मैं देख रहा हूँ कि जो उनके मुखालिफिन से ज़्यादा उनके जो साथी हैं उनको पड़ी हुई है कि किस तरीके से हम इनकी बीमारी कैश करवा लें। ये ज़्यादा जो है वो अनफॉर्चुनेट।
सोई साहब, आपका और नईमुल हक साहब का कैचअप हो गया है, क्या किससे ज़्यादा शाबाश किसे मिली है, डांट किसे ज़्यादा पड़ी है?
तो ऐसी खास बात देखिए, वो दोनों अपोजिशन में पहले ही इकट्ठे हैं, और अपोजिशन में PMLN और पीपल्स पार्टी जो है वो एक अलायंस में बैठी हुई है। अगर वो जाना चाह रहे हैं तो उनको जरूर जाना चाहिए, और नवाज शरीफ साहब बीमार हैं, उनका पता करने में क्या आ रहा है।
प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब लाहौर में हैं, प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब लाहौर में हैं, वज़रा की कारकर्दगी और ब्रीफिंग जिन्हें दी जा रही है, तो फ़याज़ुल हसन चौहान साहब क्योंकि हटाए जाए हैं, तो समझते हैं कि मजीद भी कोई एक दो वज़ीर हुकूमत के कोई ऐसे हैं जिनके
ये तो प्रेरोगेटिव चीफ मिनिस्टर का, प्राइम मिनिस्टर का है, किसको रखना है किसको निकालना है, ये तो उनकी अपनी वो टीम के कप्तान होते हैं, ये फैसले उन्होंने करने होते हैं कि क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना। फ़याज़ुल हसन चौहान साहब ने भी बड़ी अच्छी इनिंग्स खेली है, अब शमशान बुखारी साहब आए हैं, उनसे भी यही तवक्को है कि अच्छी इनिंग्स खेलेंगे और वो अपना पंजाब हुकूमत का नुक्ता नज़र जो है वो पहुंचा सकेंगे, लेकिन ये फैसले तो प्राइम मिनिस्टर चीफ मिनिस्टर।
तंजीमों के खिलाफ क्या कार्रवाइयाँ मज़ीद क्यों तेज़ हो रही हैं, और पंजाब से बढ़कर क्या इसके अलावा KP और बलूचिस्तान में भी इन तंजीमों के खिलाफ?
देखिए, पहली बात तो यह है कि जो कालिज़म तंजीमें हैं, हम अपने नेशनल आज मैं हैरान हो गया हूँ जब मैंने देखा कि हिंदुस्तान के फॉरेन ऑफिस ने इसके ऊपर बयान जारी किया कि अभी हम इससे मुतमईन नहीं है। भाई, हम आपको मुतमईन करने के लिए तो कुछ कर ही नहीं रहे हैं, आपका इससे कोई ताल्लुक ही नहीं है। हमने एक 2014 में नेशनल एक्शन प्लान बनाया था, उसमें हमने फैसला किया था, उस फैसले के तहत हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। उसमें कुछ लूप होल्स रहे, उसमें कुछ ऐसी जो जैसे कि एक इकोनॉमिक हमें लानी चाहिए थी, जिसके लिए फैटअप की रिक्वायरमेंट्स अब आई हैं, वो हमें लानी चाहिए थी, जो पिछली हुकूमतें नहीं लेके आई। हमने पिछली जो जनवरी में मीटिंग हुई थी सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल कमेटी की, उसमें हमने फैसले किए थे कि हमने ये चीज़ें जो हैं इनको हमने लेके जाना है, इनको हमने इम्प्लीमेंट करना है। हम उनको इम्प्लीमेंट कर रहे हैं। हिंदुस्तान का ना इससे लेना है ना देना है। हमने अपने मुफाद के मुताबिक हम समझते हैं कि हमारा अपना मुफाद है कि जो वायलेंस की कैपेसिटी है वो सिर्फ रियासत के पास हो, वो किसी और के पास ना हो। हम उसको इंशाल्लाह इंश्योर करें। नहीं, मेरा को जाती लड़ाई किसी से नहीं है। पीटीवी अच्छा नहीं चल रहा, वो उसको मैं पॉइंट आउट करता हूँ कि पीटीवी अच्छा चलना शुरू हो जाए तो हमें क्या प्रॉब्लम है, लेकिन वो तो अब नए एमडी के अपॉइंटमेंट का काम शुरू हो गया। मुआशी हालत में अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह काफ़ी बड़ा जो है वो फ़र्क आया है, पहले से लेके अब तक जो है वो फ़र्क आया है। मिडिल क्लास के लिए अब इंशाल्लाह इक़दाम करने की ज़रूरत है। असद उमर साहब जो और उनकी जो पूरी टीम है इसके ऊपर फोकस्ड है, और इंशाल्लाह आइंदा आने वाले दिनों में आप देखेंगे कि पाकिस्तान की जो मुआशी हालत है वो यकीनन बेहतर होगी। लेकिन इस गवर्नमेंट का ये कहना है कि यहाँ पे बाकी हुकूमत के जो हॉस्पिटल ही नहीं है, वो जो कार्ड है सेहत कार्ड कहाँ से आए? नहीं, ये जो सेहत कार्ड है ये सिर्फ बाकी हुकूमत के हॉस्पिटल के लिए तो है ही नहीं, ये तो पैसे दे रहे हैं। तो पैसे जो है वो जहाँ से वो तो इवन प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल से जाके, स्कूल से जाके, हॉस्पिटल से करा सकते हैं। तो इसीलिए सिंध हुकूमत को चाहिए कि पहले प्रोग्राम पढ़ा करें फिर तबसरा करें।
वज़ीर इत्तलात चौधरी फवाद हुसैन लाहौर में मीडिया के नुमाइंदों से गुफ्तगू कर रहे थे। उन्होंने कहा कि अवाम को हुकूमत पर एतमाद रखना चाहिए और सदका और खैरात के नाम पर कई ट्रस्ट चल रहे हैं। अवाम अपने एहतियात उन जगहों पर दें जहां पर उनको मालूम हो कि उनके पैसे किस तरह से इस्तेमाल किए जा रहे हैं। सियासत को खेल में नहीं शामिल करना चाहिए और खेल को सियासत से पाक रखना चाहिए। भारतीय खिलाड़ियों का फौजी कैप पहनकर मैच खेलने के इशू को ICC में उठाया जाएगा। पुलवामा वाक़े के बाद बगैर सबूत के पाकिस्तान पर इल्जाम लगाया गया। अब तक के लिए इतना ही। मजीद खबरों और अपडेट्स के लिए देखते रहिए PTV न्यूज़।
Will have a tilt towards one side. I mean, if you're talking about your own country, yes, you will have it. It's natural.
Yeah, of course. But what if your country is wrong? I can give you an example from my own country. Norway took part in the bombing of Libya in 2011. The media went along. In retrospect, the British Commission said it was on a false premises. The UN resolution was supposed to protect the civilian people in Gaza against attacks from Gaddafi. Instead, it was turned into a war for regime change, which was for the wrong reasons, and the media went along. And that's huge responsibility for the media. And I think this is kind of lessons you have to learn from and do better the next time.
That is why maybe this concept of embedded journalism is all about. But in fact, even in that case, since what you are seeing or what you are shown basically is what you will report. Simple as that. Don't you think so?
Well, yes, but then it depends how you position yourself, doesn't it? Because I would strongly recommend as much disembedding as possible. And we have examples from our own students who've actually learnt, I think, a bit from us, and who have, for example, we have one student who traveled to Afghanistan and stayed there and reported individually and independently for quite a few years. And he disembedded himself after doing some embed practices and then reported about how that was. So there's also the question of the meta perspective. Who is now telling me what to do? If you can say that also, then you're kind of embedded, but also aware that you're embedded. So there are several ways of being embedded as well. I agree very much with my colleague about the bottom-up perspective, as it were. But I think also in a war situation, there's a lot of otherism, blaming the other and totalizing the other as being one entity. And I think I've looked both at the Pakistani and Indian media these days, and there are dissenting media, and there are dissenting voices in India as well. And I think it's important for media to be aware of that. Also in the question of Iraq and Norway, there was at least one newspaper, a radical one, in fact, but who opposed us going to war. So, I mean, there are these voices. The question is to always look at diversity when it comes to coverage and also independence. As Hamid Mir said in this very conference, that public interest is not necessarily the same as state interest. And I agree with him.
And that's very important. I still remember I was reading a book, and that was about this propaganda ministry during the Second World War, the Germans created, even the British did that. So just to create war hysteria, or just to create, just to show yourself as if you were the one who's been attacked and you were the innocent one. So that is the unfortunate part. It again reminds me of another movie, Wag the Dog, Dustin Hoffman, Robert De Niro. Now that's a brilliant example of what they did and how they did and how they convinced the people. Even Tony Blair at some stage had to admit that all their calculations were wrong, as you earlier mentioned.
It took a long time, though.
Weapons of
took a very long time.
Yeah, there were those weapons of mass destruction. I still remember Colin Powell showing those slides and those images of tanks and maybe the missile sites and all. Nothing was there. So this is something which is very important, but as they say, that media, when you talk about a non-kinetic warfare or a hybrid warfare for that matter, that is really, really important. Let's talk about that also. So media, how lethal media can be or can become in such situations?
Well, the historical examples are there. Philip Knightley wrote this fantastic book, First Casualty, showing that your examples from the Second World War is not rare. It's been like this all the time. Now, of course, we are in a situation where there are social media, which the government don't control. But that can create problems of its own, because it's not edit responsibility. And there's room for rumors, disinformation, psychological operation by intelligence in all countries use also these platforms to try to, basically get the opinion on their side. And you have to be aware of these things when you are a reporter. When you get served a story from the government for the reasons to go to war and the legal basis for it, you need to do your own investigation. Also when you are dealing with social media. So this is it's a huge challenge. It's not easy. But you have to do it if you're going to report responsibility.
How different and difficult this reporting is from general reporting?
It's basically the ethical principles are the same, but it's everything is much stronger in the war coverage. The danger for the journalists are bigger. The consequences of reporting false is bigger. You can end up being responsible for escalating a war for the wrong reasons. The source critical attitude, all these things are the same, but the consequences if you do wrong is much bigger in this area.
Indeed. Now, ma'am, since you are here in Pakistan, and you were earlier mentioning that you have stayed in Pakistan for about a year and a half also, and I'm sure you have seen this media emerging in Pakistan. There was a mushroom growth, and initially we just used to have this Pakistan television, but now there are more than 100 channels. About 80 of them are news channels in Pakistan in various languages and all. Now, ma'am, since we were talking about the damage media can create, do you think now there has to be a censor, like we have this PEMRA, that is a regulatory body in Pakistan? Do you think regulatory bodies should be, such bodies should be there, should exist, or it should be totally, on the editor, whatever he wants or she wants can be shown?
I come from a country with self-regulatory media, basically. That doesn't mean that we don't have laws against insult and defamation, but the self-regulatory bodies are there, and they are appointed by the media, and also there are civilian people who are not employed by the media within these bodies. So I strongly believe that that is the most important, but they carry then a great responsibility for media ethics and for journalistic ethics. And I think this responsibility is very large now, since the social media has also helped polarization. The concept of enemy and the agitation, the sentiments, all this way of aggravating a situation that you often see on social media I heard that on social media in this country now. There's a drum up rather for more active action against the neighbor state, while the Prime Minister yesterday gave a very sobering speech, which is different from that. And I'm wondering, we talk about first casualty of a war is the truth, but the second casualty, and I think that is very important, is very often civilians, innocent people who are not part of the war. And I think I've seen some voices from both sides of Kashmir now saying exactly that we are worried about our lives. And I think these should be listened to. A wise man I met once said that good journalists, they look for solutions. And I think this saying is very important. Good journalists should look for solutions. But we cannot direct journalists. I think journalists is a very free occupation, and it should stay that way. And if you have too many regulatory bodies and rules, that will eventually hamper and bar journalists from seeking truth.
All right. Now we'll take a break here. After the break, we'll return and we'll talk about this conference that was held last week in Islamabad. Stay with us.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول حي على الصلاة حي على
Welcome back. Now, Mr. Roon, the conference which you attended in Pakistan, first of all, tell us what was the content about and how often do you have this conference? Is it totally Pakistan-based? Tell us about that.
I think this conference was quite unique, actually, because it was a cooperation between government, media, education, the industry, and all had the same purpose, to to discuss how to improve.
All the stakeholders were there.
All the stakeholders were there. And I think that's very rare. I never experienced it before, actually. And I believe this is the first conference of this kind in Pakistan as well. So I think this is quite unique. And of course, this gives the opportunity for us as foreign guests to interact with colleagues and professionals in Pakistan.
Basically, it provides a lot of opportunity for all the people to learn a lot from each other.
Absolutely, and this is the idea. And we find out that we struggle with the same issues. This is global issues, but each country has its own history. So it's extremely helpful to learn from each other. And when I listen to some of the paper and speeches, same topics as we discuss in Norway, perhaps some different solutions, different because of political, cultural background, but still some of these key issues are global issues. And I think this conference was very, very admirable in this sense, that it collected all parties.
And how many other participants were there as well, other than you two? Because we've heard that there were a lot of other foreigners there as well.
Yes, I don't have the exact number, but there were hundreds there. So it was huge audience, great attendance, active audience, interacting.
And you had various sessions and you had question answers?
Yes, it was plenary sessions, there were workshops, there were groups with paper presentations like ordinary academic conference. So it was a variety of things, which was very exciting.
And ma'am, if I may put the same question to you, what have you taught and what have you learned?
Well, I've learned a lot about making such conferences because, as my colleague says, it's very rare to have such a congregation. Actually, the president of Pakistan inaugurated the conference, and there were 3 ministers coming and visiting and giving their keynotes. I don't know when we could have such a thing in Norway. I would wish for it to happen sometimes, because for politicians to listen to media researchers and journalists like that is something of a unique experience. I think there's one other aspect. There were lots of students there, young students, and we are used to dealing with students, of course, in our profession. But what we also saw was a large number of journalists, and I've seen this before because I've been to many conferences in Pakistan, particularly at Punjab University in Lahore. And what I see is that the contact with the professionals is good, and that there is no closed ivory tower as such, where academics sit in splendid isolation telling how the media should be, and not knowing the strains and pressures on the profession. So I think that is also an admirable thing. We do that also, I have to admit. And in our institute, actually, most of us have been practicing journalists, and I still consider myself a journalist, even if I do most of my time at academic work. So I think the combination can be in one person, but it can also be in one room.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. Now, so the way media has changed, the way technology has come in, reporting in 60s, 70s, 80s, and then 90s, and now. I mean, there were different stages, different incidents brought in so many channels, and every channel had their own philosophy, and every channel had their own set of programs, own presentation and everything. Now, there is this very interesting concept in Pakistan I'm talking about. Most of these private sector television channels, they are driven, as far as the content is concerned, initially it used to be from the editor. Now, since it's all about sales and marketing and money, so the marketing person, the director of marketing would be having a lot of influence over the content of the show. That this is what is sellable, so make it like this. You know, I'm talking about even a program, a talk show for that matter. So just bring in some spice into it. And that is one of the reasons that what we have witnessed, having a quarrel in the studio between two guests for that matter. That never existed before. Nobody ever witnessed. So changes were there. Normal reading a news bulletin, being loud, being more expressive, exaggerating a little. Don't you think things have changed generally, globally, and in particular about Pakistan also?
Well, these are extremely important issues on a global stake, and each country has its own tradition and economical structure. But the common thing is that the ethics and the integrity of the newsroom and the editors and the journalists should be protected. In Norway, we have this.
Do you have a similar issue there as well?
Yeah, we have this discussion historically.
Okay.
But that was. It came to a solution in 1953, I believe, when there was an agreement between the owners' organization and the editors' organization that the owners should respect the integrity of the editors. And if the editors disagree, it goes both ways. If the editor disagrees too much on the general policy, he should leave. But as long as he stays and do his job, he should not be interfered on a daily basis how to run his job. And of course, these are on paper. In the real world, it's not as easy as that. We know that. But the basic thinking of editorial independence is very important. And you named the global issues. You have the military-industrial complex who earns a lot of money selling weapons. And they like to promote wars. And some of these conglomerates also own media. So
absolutely.
So then it's very important. And in those,
how to change the perception and the entire narrative and build up the public opinion and go after any country you want.
Exactly. So this is one of the many reasons why these are so important. And unfortunately, usually the business wins. But at least the struggle and the platform for a struggle should be there in formal agreement, I think.
Now, ma'am, one very, very important question. And that is about the Muslims. Now, the moment you think of a terrorist, Osama bin Laden comes in your mind. A man with a turban, with a beard, holding a Kalashnikov, and somebody who looks like an Afghan basically. You talk about Taliban. There are a variety of Taliban, Uzbek Taliban, Tajik Taliban, but they're always considered as Pashtuns for that matter. You talk about, for that matter, if something happens. I still remember there was this man who ended up taking 11, 12 huge caliber guns inside a hotel in Vegas, ended up killing about 50, 55 people, injuring 500. And they said, well, this man, never called the word terrorist for that matter. But the moment, if somebody is caught with a matchbox for that matter, they say, well, this man was carrying some sort of an explosive. This biased reporting has totally changed the global dynamics. Muslims are being hated. And unfortunately, this has happened all over the world now. That this man who looks like this is supposed to be terrorist. I still remember after 9/11, even Sikhs were killed because they couldn't differentiate between a Muslim in a turban or a Sikh for that matter. Your take, ma'am?
I can have a take on this because we teach these things actually, and I've studied for many years also the representation of minorities, including Muslims, and the way it's done in Norwegian media. Let me take one example. Norway has had its own homegrown terrorist, and that was our 22nd of July in 2011. And this was a right-wing, white, blonde terrorist. And there were some moments when his killing was still going on. Some expertise.
People, if I'm not wrong.
No. 77.
77.
Yes.
He was the one who entered that island, if I'm not wrong.
Most of the people were killed, and there were young people on that island. Yes, and what was happening before we knew who the man was, there was this suspicion of terrorists, and some expertise were called to the studios like this, and they were sort of, it could be, extreme Islamist and so on. And in those few hours, an anti-racist center that we have in Norway documented that quite a few Muslims were verbally harassed and some also physically harassed on the street. And I and many others, we almost prayed that let it not be, because that would aggravate the situation terribly. And then it was this white terrorist. The thing that you mentioned is also that when it is not a Muslim, it's more about psychology. But when it's Muslim, it's more about collective responsibility, which is something we warn our students much against, actually, because we believe that we should take individual by individual and not blame a religion, not blame a group for anything done by individuals. By the way, Osama bin Laden was not the Afghan, he was Saudi Arabian.
Yeah, I think media has a very, very important role to sort of, make things easy for the general public. Let's not create hatred. Since we know that Pakistanis are the second largest community in Norway after the Norwegians, but since you're in Pakistan, sir, one quick question on a lighter note. How did you feel? I mean, what is your sort of the impression you're taking back with you, sir, about Pakistan?
It's extremely good experience. You know, I met a lot of interesting people, and the hospitality is marvelous, and the openness in frank, good, honest discussion. It's very, very positive. And of course, we did not expect with this topic that we got this case study right in the middle. It was a remarkable and horrifying in one sense, but academically also interesting, of course, to see how this was tackled both in India and Pakistan.
All right. I mean, what about food? Did you like it?
Could I please say yes, I do. But I would like to comment on hospitality, because I've been encountered the hospitality in Pakistan for 2 years, actually, both in Lahore and in Peshawar.
You had a chance to live here. So.
Yes, I have a chance to live here and teach here, but I also think there is one thing which is very nice, and that is the diversity of opinion that you see among journalists and among the general public. And also there is another concept, you from the West. I mean, Muslims as one thing, you from the West as a thing that I've encountered in the streets. But I'd like to conclude that, I mean, we who come from various Western countries, we might be very critical to our own government, we might be critical towards NATO, and we also represent the diversity as well as you do.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Rune Arfin and Professor Elizabeth Eider. Thank you so much once again for being here in our studio and also enlightening our public in general. Thank you so much once again, sir. And that's all we have for this. I'll see you again till then. You take good care of yourself. Khuda Hafiz.